Welcome to the Potential Success Show. My name is Fong, and today we have another great guest. He's been helping a lot of individuals all around the world, empowering the next generation of leaders and investors and entrepreneurs to build wealth, build success, and build that financial future that we all really need because it's not being taught enough. All the schools right now are really focusing on creating more and more employees, not really focusing on financial futures, which is something I truly believe is very, very important. He is the author of the book Ghost Money: The Pathway to Financial Independence. He's been guiding lots of young people away from waiting for the next handout to really building their own dynamic financial future. So please welcome engineer, entrepreneur, investor, and financial mentor, Mr. Ron Ketome, Ketome,
KMETOVICZ.
KMETOVICZ. KMETOVICZ. There you go.
There you go.
This is live. But anyway,
This is live, and
well,
that's
well,
wonderful.
welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah, thanks for doing what you do. Lots of individuals out there, especially the younger generation, don't really understand the mindset and the need of building that financial future to be successful. So yeah, share with us this journey. Like, how did you get to where you are, and how did you become this person that goes, you know what, I need to share this information more.
Okay, well, Fong, the thing I start with initially is what I do fits on one hand. There's 5 steps that I follow. It worked initially with me sharing what I do with my children because they were present in the household. So they grew up with dad around. Then the grandkids came and they too had access to grandpa. So we shared things one on one, and they're now off. I have last one in high school, and the rest of them are either college educated and employed, or in college. I have a granddaughter in college, but we have 3 great grandkids. And it was last year, about this time, that my wife and I were talking about how are we going to share the wisdom of what to do financially in your life with them. We won't be here. Okay. So the reality of that just struck in. So that's why I wrote Ghost Money. It started as a documentary for my great grandkids. And now it's a book that I'm sharing with other people. And I do that graciously. Hopefully, it will influence a few folks. Well, I know it has. I'm getting feedback from what people have done with some of the advice I offer. So it's good.
So before you were this expert in creating financial, like a foundation for the next generation, what was your main focus? You were an engineer in what area, and how did that translate over to finances?
I was an engineer at Hewlett Packard Laboratories in the 70s and 80s. And you go back at what was going on in those days, it's commonplace now, but we didn't have an internet. We didn't have GPS. We didn't have Wi-Fi. I was involved in the technology aspect of most of those systems back in those early days in an R&D environment. So today you have these things, we help make it happen. That was my engineering background. From there, the engineering led to a bit of success, and I went out to become a consultant in engineering and did that for a number of decades. Then I formed a few businesses post consulting. After the businesses formed, I kind of got a little lazy. My wife and I got into doing some traveling. It's a typical story, I think, for a number of people. And we settled back, and I got into more of a recreational lifestyle of mountain biking, skiing, hiking, uh, staying closely connected with the family members. So I've had a really good flow in life. I think things have worked out pretty well. A few bumps, but nothing major. And 78 years old, hey, still kicking, still doing some fun things.
That is awesome. So, how did you go from, you talked about engineering, consulting, entrepreneurship, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm going to write this book on showing people how to create their financial future.
Well, that goes back to my grandfather. I grew up in a rural environment in Pennsylvania on a farm. And one thing I learned from my grandpa is he was in the Great Depression. He took his family through World War II. He had 8 children. All of them have turned out to be pretty good aunts and uncles. Okay, they've done well. But the thing that I got to work with him, the thing he told me is, Ron, if you want a good financial future, you need multiple sources of revenue. On the farm, we did produce. We had chickens and eggs. We had milk and dairy. We had a section of the farm for sand and gravel. We had other aspects of it. There was about 30% of it was set out for logging. So we had wood available to us. And in addition to that, my grandfather had a construction business. So you add all of that up, he had 8 kids and he probably had 8 revenue streams coming through, okay, to do it. So how that translated into my life, I went to college and I went to work. I had one revenue stream. You start to work, well, if you invest, you can have 2 revenue streams. So I went for about almost 2 decades with my income, my wife's income, and we both invested. So we had 4 revenue streams. But when you have that, you're positioning yourself in a relatively strong position. And I could then branch out, leave an employer minus 1 revenue stream, and start my consulting business. It was negative cash flow for a little while. And then that business came back because with it was the consulting. I had also written a book at that time. So I had a revenue stream from the book. It went on through, it's another piece of history, but my consulting timing was fortunate. I went into the dot-com boom from the 90s up to 2000, and I had more work than I could do. And again, as you're working through this, the earnings I made from that business, I invested. And so there was that business plus the earnings, so another revenue stream, and all of this accumulated over time. So I then was, after consulting, I had sufficient revenues where I could branch out, and I worked on solar energy company. I worked on a hydroponics business. Both of those were interesting endeavors that were reasonably successful. And then I finally just said, I'm done with business. I'm done. I have enough of a revenue stream now to fund myself. So eventually this got to last year where I wrote the book. Did that explain it?
Yeah, totally. So, being through so many different booms and ups and downs of the economy, have you found that the concept of how to create financial freedom and multiple sources and all that kind of stuff, is that fairly the same throughout all the different years? And then also, is it it basically is a tried and tested kind of system or a strategy that could be done over and over again?
Well, yes, Fong, because what I've never done is I've invested in myself, so I have control of that. I have control of how I can operate my business. When I consult, I have control of who my customers are. My customers and I interact. We do things. What you don't have control of is markets. You cannot predict markets. But what you do have control of in this crazy, I call it the noise environment, you can invest wisely. There are mutual funds out there where if you contribute to them consistently, month after month after month after month, give yourself 20, 25 years, you are going to have a very comfortable revenue stream for yourself.
Yep.
For most people, and this is a focus on ghost money, most people live paycheck to paycheck. They have one revenue stream. Initially, when you apply ghost money principles, you will have two. And two is a very large number when it comes to revenue streams to support your life. And then I talked about my progression to multiple streams with my wife and I combining, and then business contributing and other leverage aspects. But just getting to two for most people is a really, really, really big step, because they're starting at one. And I think the numbers are around 60 to 70% of folks will lead their life with one revenue stream. And when you talk about ups and downs, it's not the markets that are up and down. If you have one revenue stream, it's your life. Okay, if you lose a job, you're in trouble. Okay, you have a calamity in life, medical, fires. Talk to me about fires. Anyway, we have wildfire down here where I live, but there's calamity in life, and with one revenue stream, you just get whipsawed around. With two, you start to flatten that whipsawing effect, and if you can get to 3, 4, or 5, then you're really running pretty smooth in your life.
So in this day and age, what do you recommend most people when they come to you? Like, okay, I understand I need at least two and potentially 3, 4, 5, whatever. Where do I start? There's so many
Okay.
different options out there, and on top of that, on top of the options, there's options within these options as to what to choose. So eventually, they get so overwhelmed with all this stuff, they go, you know what? I'm just gonna stick with one.
Well, I call it noise. Okay, all of this is financial noise. Uh, let's go back to what it takes to prepare yourself to put your money in the right place. There's it's the 5-step thing that I work with. The first is your personal behavior. Uh, there are certain things that you cannot do. If you do them, you're not going to be able to have multiple revenue streams. In the book, I follow the basic profile of that is the 7 deadly sins. If you're involved in any of those behaviors, you're going to have trouble. The second set of behaviors are the good behaviors. There's 14 of them, but the key essence to it is to engage in meaningful employment you like. And secondly, of the 14 steps is to enhance your skill set by whatever means that you want to do. So you're engaged in a good job, you're enhancing your skill set. The enhancement can come from, my gosh, with the AI that we have today, you can enhance your skill set at home, okay, almost for free, okay, just for the cost of internet access. But as you go, if your interests lie to trade school, community college, or on to college or some kind of profession, that you follow your passion. So you're doing the right things behaviorally. Then the third step is to engage in a career that you really like. And I outline in chapter 3 choices available to people. I think I have a table of about 20 professions that people can look at. Now, in chapter 4, we get to where I answer your question. Okay, what do you invest in? And what I did for the book, and what I have done for almost 5 decades, is mutual funds, quality mutual funds. I used AI and I identified mutual funds that pay about 10% per annum and have done so for multiple decades. And they're listed in chapter 4. So that's my recommendation. Buy a stable mutual fund and contribute as much as you can to that fund each and every month. Just keep banging away, banging away, banging away. And most people have difficulty with the math behind investing. So I've created a concept. It's called the KMET curve, but it's based on someone starting with a sum. I use $10,000 because that's usually not too hard for people to come by these days. My high school kids that I'm working with can muster up $10,000 in about a year and a half. But the process is a sequence of times 2 steps. So you take 10,000, make it 20,000, 20,000 to 40,000, 40,000 to 80,000. So that sequence, if you go it 7 times, those times 2 steps, you'll be over $1 million. So now the question becomes, how fast can you double your money in each of those 7 increments? And that's what the KMET curve is about. It tells you how fast you can double your money based on the contributions you're making monthly at a respectable 10% annual rate of return. For most people, that turns out to be 20, 25 years to get to the pot of gold. So it's investing wisely in a good mutual fund. And there are ETFs too. Okay, I don't use ETFs in the book, but there's no reason why you couldn't. And you could talk to a financial advisor about ETFs that are highly, highly likely to give you a 10% rate of return. Then move on to the periodic contributions, boom, 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 boom. And yep, it's going to take you a couple of decades. Okay, just accept that, but stay the course, and you'll be there. You'll get there. The 5th step that's in this progression is, if you do what's in 1, 2, 3, and 4, you'll get to write a success story, a financial success story about your life.
That is awesome. And I think the key to that step 4 is stable. Finding those stable funds, stable investment opportunities in which it will double every 7, 8 years or so, and then by the time 25 years are passed, you have that nest egg there. And so many people are so impatient. They want things to happen right away, that the boring, stable stuff does not excite them. So they don't do it. But sometimes it's actually that easy by being consistent and just being dedicated and having that discipline of doing it every single month for 25 years.
Well, I'll share with the listeners a little trick, Fong. Okay, what happens is remember, we have to do 7 steps, okay, to get to the pot of gold. Well, at 10,000, okay, you can get to 20,000 really quick, okay, just by throwing more money into the pot. Okay, so the compounding effect is not there. 20,000 to 40,000, you can get there real quick. 40 to 80, you can get there real quick. By the time you get up to the 320,000 area, your contribution level as a percentage of the size of the investment account is going to slip down a little bit. So but now you have compounding working for you, because you have this larger sum in the account compounding at 10%. So you'll probably get to step uh, 4 or 5 of the time two sequence in about a decade. Most people do. And then the last decade is to let interest and your contributions take you over the finish line. So 20 years is a reasonable time frame with just banging away. And when I talk, people talk to me about, hey, do I have to give up my lifestyle to do this? And the answer is heck no. Okay, because the contribution level, if you can do 10% of what you make, you're going to get there. Okay, we're talking about a couple of $1,000s a year initially, on up to maybe $10,000 or $12,000 a year towards the tail end after you're 15 or 20 years into this thing. So it's not a lot. You don't have to give up your lifestyle, but yeah, you have to be disciplined. And the book shows you the math behind it graphically.
How early are some of your like people that's coming to you? Like, are they you mentioned high school. Are there kids that's even younger than that that's starting this already?
Yeah. Yeah, the answer is yeah.
And I guess
Uh,
like my question is how do you get them to think that way? Because most of the time at that age they're that's in the future. I don't need to worry about it.
well, it happens through their parents or grandparents. Okay, the parents or grandparents that know me, okay, talk to their kids and grandkids about it. I'm a Rotarian, and one of my friends in the Rotary group talked to me. We meet on Wednesdays, so just 2 days ago. But he was telling me about working with his 12-year-old grandson, and they with what you do is pencil and paper. They worked out a financial plan for a 12-year-old to get to $1 million by the time he's 35 years old. This 12-year-old knows what he would have to do that at a 10% rate of return from a quality investment. So that's a little on the young side, okay. But people talk to me about that. The the typical high school is what I experienced with my grandchildren. I didn't have these concepts laid out and as clear when I was raising my own kids. Heck, I was doing my own career, advancing my technical education, advancing my business education. So I just my kids got shortchanged, to be honest. So I went to the grandkids got the benefit of it because they started with, hey, get a job, any job. Okay. And around here, you can do that when you're 15. So they started getting money. I opened up a custodial account for them at Charles Schwab. And when they got a paycheck, we would put 10 or 20% of that paycheck into the custodial account. By the time they leave high school, with a little bit of help from grandma and grandpa and mom and dad, okay, they've got a nice chunk of change in that custodial account. As a matter of fact, like where we talked about 10, 20, 40 type stuff, they were, by the time they left high school, they were 3 steps into the times two. So they only had 4 more to go.
Mm.
Okay, so realizing their objectives in their 30s might be realistic for them. And the students that I work with in high school, they know this. I don't keep tabs on them. They have to do it themselves, but they know the principles. I suspect that as time goes on with their copy or ghost money, we'll see some folks in their 30s here that have 2 sources of income that aren't living paycheck to paycheck, and hopefully more than 2.
Yeah, that's so important, and for kids and the younger generation to start earlier, I think is vital, especially with how fast things change right now, and with the cost of living going up, it's almost like a necessity to start earlier than at least what I was used to, and what people need to kind of think about. And unfortunately, school doesn't teach you any of this stuff.
Oh,
There's a comedian who made fun of the fact that how come I wasn't taught compounding interest or the magic of compounding when I was in like kindergarten? Because in that case, if I was doing that and was doing compounding, putting money into all these years, by the time I'm where everybody else in my generation is graduating, I could retire.
Yes.
Right? So why are you teaching me Apple and all these other stuff when you just teach me put money into this every single year? Post-secondary, don't pay for it. Keep on putting compounding interest stuff and then building up your nest egg that way. So it's one of those things that it needs to be spread out to a lot more people, and what you're doing is very, very important.
Well, yes, and the compounding, I can answer a little bit of the educational effect, Fong, is it's role models. The problem you have is the the vast majority of people have one revenue stream, one paycheck, and they do not set the example for youth. Okay, if you grow up in a household with one revenue stream, that's all you know. Okay, and many of the people in the education system operate on one revenue stream. So how can they teach multiple revenue streams? So it's the roll of the dice of who your parents are or who you associate with in your youth, that you even discover the fact that there's the possibility that you can have more than one revenue stream. That message needs to come out. And it needs to come out in a way that's friendly, because people aren't in one revenue stream because they likely grew up in one revenue stream households. It propagates. So breaking that mold is one of the other aspects of what I'm attempting to do with Ghost Money, to show people how you do it. I turn off I learned this very early from my kids. Don't talk math. If you talk math, you're going to lose them. Okay, so there's no math in Ghost Money. There's graphs and tables, but there's no equations. And so making money practices work without using mathematics, and showing compounding without a future value is equal to present value times 1 plus I to the n equation that nobody understands, okay, except those that go to business school, okay. That's the essence of it, is to make it simple, and to get the behaviors lined up so that people do these things.
Exactly. For someone like yourself who's jumped into multiple different types of industries and invested in different areas as well, how did you decide what areas you want to be in? You mentioned hydroponics, you mentioned you're talking about AI now. How did you know that, okay, these are new and upcoming things I should get involved with? Or has there been a whole bunch of other stuff that you were involved with too, but these ones were the successful ones, and there's a lot of other stuff that just kind of, fell by the wayside.
Okay, well, yeah, I could answer that. Part of that training, Fong, comes from the fact that I'm an engineer. I wake up every day thinking about, what kind of new thing I can do, what kind of thing I can create. And in the corporate environment, when I was in Hewlett Packard in the R&D labs, uh, I was working with colleagues, and just about anything we thought of that was within our scope of business that the company would fund, we likely could get funding to do it. Okay, so it was a kid in a candy shop, okay, in that environment, uh, and and I loved it. And then I said, okay, it's time to do something new. And what really happened to me there was my rural roots, my farm boy. I was working in the city. I didn't care for the city environment. Some people love it. It wasn't for me. So I said, okay, I'm going to go to the mountains. I'm going to go into a setting where I'm more comfortable. And so I did. And that's where the consulting came to play. But how the ideas happened, they literally they were associations, people I knew we'd get together, we would talk about things. And the solar thing was a couple of engineers getting together and saying, hey, I got an idea to do this. So we did it. The hydroponics was the next area too, and that too was a couple of engineers getting together and actually, well, the hydroponics was an engineer, two engineers, a guy that liked to grow plants, okay, and a business guy, okay. The four of us were talking about it. And said, hey, let's grow dirt, let's grow plants without dirt. And so, and I was up in Alaska, and you know, there's not much sun up there where you live. There's not a lot of sun in the winter months. It's hard to grow things, okay, when you have no sun and it's cold. So we said, hey, there could be a market for this stuff, and so that's why we started out with it, and just a nice little business, and you keep it going. And now the ghost money thing is a labor of love for me. Okay, there's no major financial incentive on this. It's just get the word out while I'm still here. Okay, the time is days, the months, the years. I don't know how many I've got, but I'm trying to squeeze out another 20 if I can.
Awesome. Now, with your experience and looking back at what was successful and what didn't work, and what is still happening now that's working for you, what would you say to young entrepreneurs or young business individuals that goes, hey, there's this opportunity. How do I assess if it's right for me or if it's going to be something that's long lasting? Like, what is there some key factors that you go, okay, this, and this, that is the like combination for success?
No, that's not the approach. uh, and I'm going through this now with my grandson and a couple of other kids. The approach is, when you're young, you don't know exactly what it is you want to be when you grow up. So the approach is, do something, get a job doing something that you think you might like. Try it. It will likely lead to failure, but that failure will open up your horizon, and you say, I didn't like this, but over there, that looks good to me. And so find some employment in that other area that looks better to you. You probably step between 3 and 4 failed employment attempts until you say, this is what I like to do. And that's when you start to focus on what you're going to do with your career for the rest of your life. And it starts with failures at early employment attempts. Right. It's not failing an exam, okay, at school. It's failing work things. You just find out what you're made of and what you don't like to do and what you do like to do. So it's physical effort, okay? It's not mental.
Very, very true. Well, I would like to take you back to, I believe that was step 1, where you talked about that 7 deadly sins. Would you be able to share with us what are those 7 things that people need to address, like first thing right now?
Well, yeah, I'll be happy to share them with you. Okay, that's not an issue. But the main thing, Fong, is what young people deal with first. There's one of the 7 that I have found that for youth, it stands out, and that is the sin of pride. Pride is a killer for youth. They think they know it all. If you want to talk to them about doing something, they can give you 101 reasons why they shouldn't, because they know this and they know that. So that barrier needs to be really reduced, okay, in youth. Now, as you get older, okay, well, then the other ones can really come into play. Okay, like greed, gluttony, lust, okay, envy. They'll get you. Okay, so get past pride. Avoid the behavioral, real negative type things. You'll do fine in life. Okay, but for some folks, it's hard. You have the presence of drugs and alcohol in society. Well, once you pick that path, you're likely going to fail financially. It's not going to work. If you're at the point where you're envious of people and you want to keep up with everybody else, and you do so by going into debt, okay, that's not going to work. Okay, that's it. It just doesn't pull. Okay, gluttony. Ah, okay, that's not good. Sloth, just sitting around, taking no accountability, no personal accountability. You're lost. Okay, so that's the essence of avoid bad behaviors. And for youth, my message is try to see through when someone is offering advice, try to see through your own shell of protection of not listening to what they have to say. Because oftentimes a lot of good things are coming your way. Like what we're talking about today, some people will get it, other people will block it out. And what we're talking about is good for youth. It's not a bad message.
Very, very powerful stuff. We talked a lot about the successes that you've had throughout your career. Is there one failure that really sticks out in your mind as the defining moment of your life?
A defining moment, no. But I have had failures that have led to very interesting developments. I'll share one that happened to me my summer after high school. I grew up working within my family. My dad was in electronics. He provided my bedrock for becoming an electrical engineer. I learned that from my dad. I told you already about my grandpa and the farm and the construction and my uncles that were involved in that. I got the bright. Now, the negative of what I was doing with my family members is they didn't pay well. I got a job where this job offered me almost 3x what I was making working with the family. So I thought this was hot shot. I was going to be going to Penn State in September. I got this job in June. It was in a potato chip factory. I got a job as a truck driver. Now, I thought I was going to be driving a truck like I would on the farm and all that. It turned out it was a floor truck. I was delivering cooking oil to the cookers in the potato chip factory. I lasted 2 weeks, Fong. 2 weeks I lasted at that job. And yeah, that was a failure that shaped my life. It really was, because I said, I am never going to work in a factory environment where other people tell me what to do ever again. I had a lot of freedom working with my dad, with my and on the farm. Okay, you saw work that needed to be done, you just did it, and nobody had to boss me around. And I never had a boss. And I said, okay, that's it. So it was the failure of working in a potato chip factory that definitely shaped my life. That is correct. You asked a meaningful question for me. Thank you.
Awesome. At this point in time, what are you looking for? I know you want to spread the message more, you want to spread the book more. What else are you looking to build?
The the goals uh, that I have, and my wife and I, we share this. We've been together a long time, but when you get into your 70s and 80s, uh, health becomes a big issue. So, and the buzzword for staying healthy these days is protein. Protein is the buzzword. So, in addition to engaging in meaningful activities, we're making adjustments with our exercise programs, with our dietary programs to retain our muscle mass. And muscle mass is important. So the exercise aspect and the dietary aspects for me now are pretty much front and center, okay, from a lifestyle perspective. So, but it gives us the mobility. I mean, I'm still mountain biking. I'm still skiing. I hike, and I'm active with my Jeep going into the backcountry. And people think about, oh, you're just driving a Jeep in the backcountry. Well, Jeeps break, and you have to fix them. And fixing automotives in the backcountry, that's work. Okay, but it's no worse than a tractor on a farm in Pennsylvania. So it sort of fits in there. But yeah, it's engaging, and we're staying close with the family and friends and the network we have, and
Mhm.
that's important.
Awesome.
So I should do a podcast with someone that's talking about the geriatric center. I like talking to younger people better.
Awesome. Um, with regards to your book, your expertise, what's the best way for people to reach out?
Well, the website is www.ghostmoneythebook.com, and you go there, and it's a landing website. And there are links there that take you to Amazon Kindle.
Mhm.
And the other way to get the book is Ghost Money the Book in the search on Amazon, and boom, it's there. So the book is pretty easy. Reaching me, I like to hear back from some stories about people that have read the book and applied the book, and how it's affecting them. I'm getting some nice feedback now. And the part about the world we live in now, I wrote a book in the early 90s. It's a technical engineering book. It was published with John Wiley, and it hasn't changed since that publication date. Now, okay, I'm self-published with Amazon. Ghost Money is out there. I collect some feedback, and I'm planning to do updates as required. Okay, as the feedback comes in, and so I can put out new additions or updates to the book uh, whenever the need arises. So I'm really looking forward to this. So yeah, so the more I collect from people that are applying the principles of Ghost Money, the more it's going to enhance the performance of the book for others. So that'll be a good thing, and
Very,
it's
very
easy for
cool.
the author to do it.
I think there's going to be a lot of updates because things change so fast, and you're going to get so many people writing into you that you may want to do updates on a very consistent basis almost.
Yes, yeah, and the podcast. I mean, I'm hoping your listeners listen to a few things we had to say,
Mhm.
and that's why I'm doing this.
Awesome. Any last kind of lasting message that you would like everybody to remember you for?
Nah, live life to the fullest. Okay, chart your own course, and yeah, the other main message is multiple revenue streams. Figure out how to do that. Okay, hopefully, Ghost Money will help you get started.
Nicely said. Before I let you go, I'm going to give you five rapid fire questions. Give me the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay,
All right. You're stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. You'll still be healthy.
I missed the question, Fong.
One food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence. You'll still be healthy. What would that be?
Beans,
Go
black beans.
You get the opportunity to win the gold medal in what sport?
Mountain biking.
You're in a car ride, and this car ride is hours and hours on end. What's that one song you don't mind listening to over and over again?
Beethoven's Fifth.
Whew, so classic. And very, very intense. Hollywood calls and goes, "Hey, we'd love to do a biopic of you. Who would you cast to play you?"
Clint Eastwood.
Nice choice. Give me a number from 1 to 5.
Your forefinger, the first card.
This one,
No, the other one.
this one,
Other end.
this one.
That one. Yeah. There you go.
So the word is leprechaun. So if you had to use leprechaun as a metaphor for success, how is success like leprechauns?
Keep the leprechaun out of the bar.
Nicely done. Thank you very much. So that's how success is like leprechauns. Much appreciate your time and the wisdom and the value that you shared here today. Any final words from you? And also, yeah, thank you.
No, well, my final words are, Fong, thank you to you. This was a wonderful discussion time. I really enjoyed it. The questions were good. The interaction was great. Okay, hopefully the listeners will benefit.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So everybody out there, make sure you connect with Ron, pick up his book. He knows what he's talking about, and I'm sure that his book's going to make a big impact with a lot of people. And if you're one of those young entrepreneurs or young youth individuals who would like to create that financial future, his book is going to help you out a lot. So make sure you pick that up. So until next time, he's Ron. I'm Fong. Today is the day to lock your peak potential. We'll see you later.